We're back. We're back. It's time. It's Saturday morning. It's time for college football and the Win Big Sports Betting and Sports Talk podcast. Well, good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well today. Hope you're all fired up. Watch some guys hit each other, score some touchdowns. I know I am. I got the week off. No college football for me. Well, I mean, there's going to be lots of college football for me, but it's going to be, sitting comfortably in a chair, not announcing. Very excited. Very old, lazy. Get to be old and lazy. You can reach out to us on our contact page at wbsnsports.com to sponsor the podcast. You can also find up-to-the-minute highlights, rumors, news, and more at wbsnsports.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at WBSN Sports. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Spotify and Anchor. I'm Gabriel Fry, host of the Win Big Sports Talk Sports Betting Podcast, back with another week of picks and talk. I want to thank Spotify, Anchor FM, WBSNsports.com, 105 Power Radio, 96.9 Fresh Air Radio, and Heartland Newsfeed Radio for carrying different versions of the podcast, whether it's video or audio. Really appreciate you spreading it around and everybody who tunes in wherever they may be. You can also watch the podcast at WBSNsports.com with video visuals and cut out the middleman by heading right to our YouTube channel to watch the podcast. Time to get into the picks now. College football picks for week 3 games. We're going to start with something controversial. Colorado State at Colorado. I love it, man. I love that Prime came out of the gate swinging. So much fun. If the Prime experience is eventually going to come down to earth, it will probably be against the Ducks for USC, not the Rams. They allowed 466 yards against Washington State, and they line up against the Buffalo's attack that is just plain good. Loaded with dynamic skill and threats all over the field. Home game at night, game days on site. It's all the hype that Dion could ask for. Colorado's winning that game. They're going to cover the spread. Washington, the Huskies at Michigan State, the Spartans. I would pick Michigan State. I'm from Michigan, and I grew up like an hour and 10 minutes from East Lansing. I would pick Michigan State even if I was wrong, right? And that was Mel Tucker. The big story is Mel Tucker. He's suspended amid some shocking harassment allegations. Shocking is putting it lightly. Washington was always the favorite, but Michael Penix, 2 elite targets, lead college football and passing production. They should churn out enough yardage against the Spartan secondary. It's been a problem for the past 2 seasons to win, and I think they'll cover the spread in that one. Penn State at Illinois, the big eye. Illinois will get some stops at the line when they're defending against the run, but the secondary is a liability against competent downfield passers. That's what Drew Lohr appears to be. The sophomore will spread the field. Penn State's back should be able to navigate the linebackers inside and create some great rushes offensively as well. I don't know if Penn State will cover the spread, but they're definitely going to win the football game. LSU at Mississippi State. I really want to pick LSU in this. The air raid has been grounded. The Bulldogs have been more physical, more ground-based on offense, and a lot more play action from Will Rogers, but he has the arm to test LSU in the corners and has the targets who can get some serious yards after the catch. LSU wins this game, but close enough for there to be questions. Wouldn't bet the spread in that one. South Carolina at Georgia. The Gamecocks battling the Bulldogs. They're an enigma on offense, working behind a woeful line that's allowed 10 sacks and paving the way for backs who are averaging less than 2 yards per carry. Georgia's front 7 will make hay when the sun shines against that production. But Spencer Rattler is still an 83% passer through it all, and he has a solid target in Leggett, who leads the SEC in receiving yards per game. There's a lot of valid questions around whether Carson Jackson and the Bulldogs' own ground game can take full advantage. Between those two, that's an offense that'll be in scoring position more often than the reverse. Experts are picking South Carolina to beat the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm not. Don't get it wrong. Georgia's getting the 3-peat, and that's a really bold opinion from a guy who doesn't have bold opinions. If you listen to this podcast regularly, if you know me, I don't like coming out and hanging out the big bright flag of opinion. But in this one, I'm going with it. Georgia, full send. They're winning that football game. I think they're going to have a great season again. And one of the threats I thought they'd had this season is Tennessee Tennessee, who's at Florida this weekend. We're about to learn a lot of things about a lot of teams. One of them is the Volunteers. Florida has the bodies to grind out some yards on the ground. Graham Mertz should get past the ball secondary. They were weak a year ago. Phil Milton has a lot of options to work with and a bigger arm to connect with those receivers, and they might have a superior rushing attack. But history weighs heavily on this matchup. University of Tennessee hasn't won in the Swamp since 2003. That's a tough crowd to play in front of. I can't pick Florida. I just can't. I personally like Tennessee, so that's probably playing a factor in my pick of the Big Orange here. But I just can't see Florida overcoming Tennessee. Tennessee had a really bad week last weekend against Austin Peay. They looked flat. They won by 30, but they looked flat at home against Austin Peay. And I think that's really weighing on the line in this one and expectations of them. I got to think Tennessee's going to come out swinging, make up for that this week. If they don't, they've got some serious problems. And that little thing I said about Georgia, not going to be a problem for the Bulldogs. Tune in at noon Eastern time for Kansas State at Missouri on the SEC Network. Kansas State is winning this one, in my opinion. I think that's hands down. I'd love to see Missouri come out and win, but the Wildcats travel to Columbia. It's a rematch. Kansas State won 40-12 on its home soil a season ago. Neither program has been tested, but Missouri seemed to really struggle with Middle Tennessee State. I caught the broadcast with Mr. Chip Walters. I'm listening. I hear you up there in Murfreesboro. I just don't think Missouri's got the firepower to hang with Kansas State. So it will all be told noon Eastern. So that's very exciting. Central Michigan at Notre Dame, 2:30 Eastern time kick. You can watch that on Peacock. Notre Dame Fighting Irish playing host to the Central Michigan Chippewas. Notre Dame is 3-0. They're number 9 in the top 25 AP poll. It's been smooth sailing for the Irish. And you can go ahead and throw Central Michigan on the pile of victories. I like Central Michigan. Cool program. But there's just no way they're going to be able to hang with a team like that. Speaking of being unable to hang, University of Southern Florida is hosting the Crimson Tide, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Watch it on ABC. Crimson Tide figures to be fighting mad after losing last weekend at home against the Texas Longhorns, 34-24. Facing an angry Bama team after a rare loss in September is not a place you want to be. I feel bad for the Bulls. I'll be tuned in. We've got some buddies down there that are announcers, so hopefully they throw them back on the sideline. It'll be a fun weekend for them. Minnesota, North Carolina, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Watch it on ESPN. The Tar Heels just pulled off a big-time win against in-state rival Appalachian State at home on AstroTurf. Great game. Loved watching it. North Carolina is going to keep rolling. The over on this is 50. I would bet the under to try to bet over-under, and I would say North Carolina is going to win the game hands down in that one. UL Monroe travels to College Station to battle Texas A&M. 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch it on the SEC Network. The Aggies taking on the Warhawks. Non-conference matchup, week 3 of the season. Aggies are 1-1. They got blown out by the Hurricanes, but their offense still averaging 42.5 points a game. Defensively, they've allowed 39 points per game. They'll shore that up against the Warhawks. Fun game for UL Monroe. Fun game for Texas A&M. That's all Texas A&M, though. I don't see any way the Warhawks come out with an upset in that one. Western Kentucky and Ohio State, both teams undefeated at 2-0. Watch it 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. Buckeyes going to win. Big spread, 28 points. I think that Ohio State can cover the spread. I think they'll take the Hilltoppers down big time. They'll be Hill Bottomers. I bet that's been made so many times already. I'm like the 57th person to say that this week alone. Horrible fun. I won't do that again to you guys. I apologize. You expect better from me, I'm sure. Bowling Green State's Falcons at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. Big Blue, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time kick on the Big Ten Network. That's all U of M. The spread is 40.5 points. Michigan probably can cover that. They picked up easy wins this far. They won 30-3 in week 1, 35-7 in week 2. They're averaging 32.5 points a game. Based on that, I don't think they will cover the spread. They could cover the spread, but they'd have to want to. They'd have to come out and really want to run that up. I don't think they'll want to do that. Obviously, Michigan will win a football game. Not even a question there as far as the pick goes. We're having a big year. Georgia Tech at Ole Miss. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time kick on the SEC Network, and that's all Ole Miss. If they don't overcome Georgia Tech, they've got real problems. 17.5-point spread. I think Ole Miss covers that. The Yellow Jackets, it was a 42-0 blowout a year ago. The offense for Tech is way better than it was last season. Ole Miss is one of the top offenses in the country. They're going to be hard to keep up with. They rank 4th in passing and 1st in offensive efficiency. SEC. Our next matchup, our next game, it's going to be an 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kick. Florida Atlantic at Clemson. Watch it on the ACC network, and that's going to be all Clemson. The spread is 24.5 points. Owls don't stand a chance. Let's get that out of the way. They laid an egg at home in a 17-10 loss against Ohio University last Saturday. So I just don't see. Owls only managed 185 yards in total offense. The spread's only 24.5 points. So that's 3 touchdowns, a field goal, and a little sauce. A little sausage sauce. Clemson's got that sauce. They'll cover the spread. That's my pick. That's not there's way safer bets than that to make, especially if you're running parlays. So I wouldn't bet that if you're only going to make a couple bets. If you're betting a bunch of stuff and it's all $5, it's probably a good one. A fun one. Wyoming at Texas. Both are 2-0. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kick. Watching on LHN tonight. Texas. Wow. I mean, they look like a national championship contender and a team that should make the CFP playoff against Bama, but that's a conversation for another day. It's a sandwich spot in their young season. Wyoming is sneaky. They're really good. The spread is 30 points, 29.5. I don't see Texas fumbling that bag. I don't know if they'll cover the spread. They're not going to lose. But, they might not cover that spread. So be careful if you're betting on that one. One more college football game for you. This is a personal favorite of mine. I've got a good friend who is an alumni, Cam Morrell, of the Chicago Bears. No State. They're going to beat Arizona State. If you're still up for, I don't know what to call it anymore, football on the West Coast after dark. Sorry. Fresno State and Arizona State, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Watch it on FS1. That's all the dogs. That's the dog. Got them dogs. Florida State up to a 2-0 start. I love the stadium photos that have been coming out of their Twitter account. It's just beautiful out there. And they definitely capitalize as a marketing team on the beautiful sunsets and the great weather in California. Hey, I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with our NFL picks in just a moment on the Win Big Sports Talk Sports Betting Podcast. Just like that, we're back. That was fast, right? That wasn't bad. It was a quick 60-second break. We got that. It's time for NFL football picks. Big week in NFL news. Aaron Rodgers blew out his Achilles. MetLife Stadium. Synthetic turf. Grass. What's better? Tough debate there. I would encourage anyone who is commenting about that on social media to Google the companies that make synthetic turf and then go to their websites and just look at, like, read about how they make it. You know, what goes into the synthetic turf. Is it carpet? How tall are the blades of grass? What kind of science has been done on it? Who hired the scientists? Do they work at a major university, or is it somebody that they just employed themselves? You know, how are these systems being made? You should Google that one. You can find some cool stuff out. We'll start with a 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kick tomorrow on CBS. It's the Ravens and the Bengals. I gotta go with Baltimore. I've been looking forward for this one since the offseason, but the Bengals have kind of thrown a wrench in it. Burrow is so great, but he did not look sharp to start the season, and so I think it's all Ravens when they play the Bengals in Cincy. Next up on the docket, 1 p.m. Eastern kick. Watch it on Fox. The Bears with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chicago, they're not going to be able to handle the Bucs, in my opinion. Experts are picking the Bears. I'm going against the grain. And they're even saying that it's one of the best bets around. Bears, it's going to be a bounce-back performance from Chicago. They suffered a humiliating loss to the Packers, 18-point deficit, 38-20. But I don't think they're going to get it back this week. Tampa Bay is looking for traction. They're at home. You know, I don't see the Bears being able to hang in there. Green Bay Packers, Atlanta Falcons. Lock up. I think the Pack wins. They're in Atlanta, ATL, hot Atlanta, but Pack is on a 3-game win streak. Falcons have lost 2 in a row. Not just based on that, but a lot of reasons. I think it's all Green Bay. Jordan Love era is underway. The fans are fired up about him. He had 254 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the win against the Bears that we just talked about. And I think he continues that streak and handles business in the state of Georgia. Indianapolis Colts and Houston Texans, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Watch it on CBS tomorrow. The Colts have lost 5 straight. The Texans have won 2 of their last 5. Both lost their first game of the season. Texans are the favorite on paper. The experts are taking the Texans. I'm taking the Colts. And just to go against the grain, not a safe bet. Don't trust me. C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson looking for their first win to their young careers for the Texans and Colts respectively. I'm going with Richardson, and I like the offense of the Colts. They look better than Houston, but their defense looked a lot worse. They gave up 31 points to the Jags. The Texans were impressive on defense against the Ravens. They held Lamar Jackson mostly in check, so they'll probably look to really frustrate young Anthony Richardson. But I don't know. I just like the rookie. I like the upset against the spread and the experts in that one, so that's where I'm sticking with it. Not a safe bet, but if you're feeling risky, go with me. The Chiefs, Kansas City. They're at the Jags. 1 p.m. Eastern Time kick. Watch it on CBS. I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one. A rematch of last season's divisional round playoff game. The Chiefs battling the Jaguars. They're coming into the game after being shot by the Detroit Lions on Thursday Night Football in a 21-20 loss. Mahomes did all he could to win the game, but didn't get a lot of help from his receivers. They dropped 8 passes in crucial moments, including tipping one right to Brian Branch out of Alabama, who kind of came up with the game winner for them. So that's my pick. Go over the Chiefs. Easy victory. Next up, Chargers, Titans. In Nashville, 1 p.m. Eastern Time kick. Watch it on CBS. That's Titans, baby. That's Tennessee. Chargers fell to the Dolphins last week in a great shootout. They're 3-point favorites. I'm again going against the grain. Going with Tennessee. They did not look good in week 1. They lost by 1 point to the Saints, but Tannehill had 3 picks, went under 50% passing. I think with some whiteboard time and really game planning and play designing around Tannehill and Henry, I think things might look better for the Titans this week, but remains yet to be seen. That's my pick. Bet on it or don't. It's your money. Las Vegas Raiders at Buffalo Bills, 1 p.m. Eastern Time kick. Watch it on CBS. 9.5-point favorites, and it's all Buffalo. Bills are looking to bounce back from a disastrous Week 1 loss to the Zach Wilson-led Jets. It's Jimmy Garoppolo, the Las Vegas Raiders. Jimmy G is a lot better than Wilson. He's a stable veteran who's not going to be fazed by a tough environment. Josh Allen was terrible. He turned the ball over 4 times. The offense hasn't looked the same since Brian Daboll left and went to New York. The Jets were able to move the ball consistently, so that's a huge concern. And if the Vegas Raiders come out, they look hot early, I don't think Buffalo will be able to come back, but Buffalo's just been so good for so long, it's hard not to imagine them correcting the ship here this week. Seattle Seahawks at Detroit Lions, 1 p.m. Eastern time kick. Watch it on Fox. Come on, baby. Honolulu Blue, Dan Campbell, something, kick you in the butt, whatever his saying is. Going forward on 4th and short on your own 20-yard line, I love it. This guy is playing some football. He's playing Madden out there. Dan Campbell's playing some Madden. Detroit, unthinkable, coming over the Chiefs. They're going to have a good year, and it all started with that, and it continues this week against the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see how far they can really push things. San Francisco 49ers, Los Angeles Rams, 4:05 Eastern time. Watch it on Fox. I'm taking the Rams. Every expert in the country is taking the 49ers. They're 7.5-point favorites. Battle of 1-0 teams in South California. Brock Purdy and the Niners taking on Stafford and the Rams. I like Stafford. He's a veteran. He's been around for a long time. Just won a Super Bowl. Had a bad year last year. I can't imagine the Rams are just going to keep floundering, and I like McVay. I think they've got a lot of things that just really go well for them as a team as a whole. So that's my pick there. That's what I'm thinking. The next one is New York Jets, Dallas Cowboys, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. Got to go with the Jets. Even with their quarterback situation, the boys are giving too many points. This one will go down as a very defensive-minded game, so taking the underdog, the Jets. And they're actually not the favorite. The Cowboys are a massive favorite in this, but the Jets look really good. I just can't see them losing to the boys, so we'll see. That's my pick there. Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, primetime, Sunday Night Football on NBC, 8:20 p.m. Eastern. Dolphins, I know that's a shocking one, isn't it? 3-point favorites, AFC East Divisional game on Sunday Night Football. Patriots defense should have their hands full after what we saw Miami do in week 1. The Dolphins had the most passing yards last week against the Chargers, and the offense looked unstoppable. Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, they connected 11 passes. They'll put up an insane 215 receiving yards. And the Dolphins also have Jalen Waddle on the other side who can make big plays for Tua at any moment. So the Fins' offensive line look great. They're going to have a good year if they can kind of keep things rolling in that direction offensively. They don't have to have that production every week. They can just be that decent and be close to that, and they'll be very good. So Monday Night Football, 7 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. It's the New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers. And I'm really tempted to take the Panthers, but I'm going to go with the Saints. New Orleans Saints visiting Carolina, a showdown in the NFC South. It's the Panthers' home opener. They're on the road in week 1, lost to a divisional rival, the Falcons, 24-10. And so it's another tough test. New Orleans, waiting number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young. I think they're going to do a lot of things to rattle Young. I don't think the Panthers are going to get it together this week. I don't think they're going to have a terrible season, but it's not going to be a great week for them this time around. So all that and more coming up this week for you in NFL football action. Aren't you excited? I know I am. I just want to say thank you again for tuning in to the Win Big Sports Talk Sports Betting Podcast. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, we'd love to have you. Visit the contact page, WBSNsports.com. You can find up-to-the-minute highlights, rumors, and news at WBSNsports.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and connect with us on Spotify and Anchor FM. Big thanks to our radio partners, 105.3 Power Radio, 96.9 Fresh Air Radio, and Heartland Newsfeed Radio for carrying the podcast. You can also watch the video version on WBSNsports.com or cut out the middleman and head right to our YouTube channel. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll catch you next week with more picks and football action from Win Big Sports.
Felt this free, like I am you and you are.